I never imagined a simple office party would leave me questioning everything about my marriage. It was supposed to be a night of laughter, a chance to meet my husband's colleagues, and maybe even have fun. But instead, it became the night that changed everything. It all started when Adrian mentioned the invitation over dinner. His eyes lit up as he spoke about it, a rare excitement in his usually calm demeanor. "You should come this time," he said, setting his fork down. "Everyone's been asking about you. They want to meet my mysterious wife." I smiled, feeling a warmth in my chest. We'd been married for 5 years, and while I had met some of his colleagues in passing, I had never attended one of these work gatherings. Not because I didn't want to, but because Adrian always made them sound so uneventful. But tonight he seemed different. There was an eagerness in his voice that I hadn't heard before. "Are you sure?" I teased. "I don't want to cramp your style," he chuckled, shaking his head. "Please. My style could use some cramping. It'll be fun, I promise." His words reassured me, but something in his tone, just the slightest hesitation, made me pause. It was gone in an instant, brushed away by his easy smile. I told myself I was imagining things and agreed to go. That afternoon, I carefully chose my outfit, wanting to make a good impression. I settled on a navy blue dress, elegant yet understated, something that made me feel confident. As I looked in the mirror, I felt a small flutter of excitement. Maybe this would be a nice change. Maybe it would bring us closer. But something didn't sit right with me, and I couldn't understand why. The drive to the venue was filled with light conversation. Adrian told me stories about his office, about the inside jokes his team shared, about how the company had grown over the years. His voice was animated, but every now and then, I caught him glancing at me, as if trying to gauge my mood. When we finally arrived, I was taken aback. The rooftop lounge was breathtaking. Golden lights twinkled against the night sky, and the soft hum of music mixed with laughter and clinking glasses. It was more extravagant than I had expected, filled with people who looked effortlessly confident, like they belonged. I felt Adrian's hand on the small of my back as he led me inside. "Don't be nervous," he whispered. "They're going to love you." I wasn't nervous, at least not at first. But then I saw her, Layla. The moment we walked in, she spotted Adrian and beamed. She was stunning, the kind of woman who turned heads without even trying. Dressed in a sleek black dress, her confidence was effortless, her smile radiant. She glided over to us, eyes flickering toward me for the briefest second before settling on my husband. "Adrian, finally!" she exclaimed, placing a hand on his arm. The gesture was light, casual, almost. "We thought you'd never show up." I smiled politely, waiting for Adrian to introduce me. But before he could, Layla turned to me, her expression warm yet assessing. "And you must be the famous wife," she said, her lips curling into a slow smile. "We've heard so much about you." Her tone was friendly, but there was something in her eyes that made my stomach tighten. I couldn't quite place it, but it was there, a flicker of something unreadable. Adrian finally spoke, his voice carrying a hint of nervousness. "Yes, this is my wife, Eliana." I extended my hand, keeping my smile polite. Layla took it, her grip soft but firm. "It's so nice to finally meet you," she said, tilting her head slightly. "Adrian talks about you all the time." "Does he?" I didn't voice the thought, but it lingered. Because from the way she said it, from the way she looked at him, it felt like she knew him in a way that unsettled me. I brushed it off, telling myself I was overthinking. I wasn't the jealous type. I trusted Adrian. And yet, as the night unfolded, that uneasy feeling in my gut only grew stronger. And soon, I would realize I had every reason to feel that way. I told myself I was overreacting. That Layla's touch, her smile, the way she looked at Adrian, it was all innocent. Just colleagues having fun. But deep down, something gnawed at me. A quiet voice whispering that this night wouldn't end the way I had imagined. As the evening went on, I tried to shake off the unease. I mingled, smiled at stories I barely listened to, and sipped my drink while Adrian laughed with his coworkers. But no matter where I stood, my eyes kept finding him. And every single time Layla was there, she was subtle, too subtle. A light touch on his arm when she spoke, her body angling toward his as if he was the only person in the room. When he made a joke, she threw her head back, laughing louder than anyone else. And Adrian, he didn't seem to notice. Or maybe he did, and he just didn't mind. I clenched my glass a little tighter. I wasn't the possessive type. I believed in trust, in space, in confidence in a relationship. But this didn't feel like harmless fun. This felt like something else. Eliana, right? A voice pulled me from my thoughts. I turned to see a man in his mid-40s, kind eyes crinkling at the corners. He extended a hand. I'm Richard. I work with Adrian. I forced a smile, shaking his hand. Nice to meet you. He chuckled, glancing toward Adrian and Layla. Don't mind her, he said knowingly. Layla has a habit of getting overly comfortable with the men in the office. I felt my stomach drop. Oh? Richard shrugged. She's always been like that. She flirts, pushes boundaries. Most of the guys laugh it off. Some enjoy the attention. He gave me a quick glance, as if weighing his words. Adrian's a good guy, though. I tried to read between the lines. Was he warning me? Reassuring me? I wasn't sure. But either way, my fingers curled against my dress. Just then, another burst of laughter erupted from Adrian's direction. I turned just in time to see Layla playfully swatting his chest, her fingertips lingering a second too long. Richard sighed. You want my advice? I met his gaze. Don't let it ruin your night, he said softly, but don't ignore it either. His words stayed with me. A line crossed. I made my way back to Adrian, forcing a smile as I slipped my hand into his. He turned, surprised, as if he had forgotten I was there. That alone sent a sharp pang through my chest. Everything okay? I asked casually, though my voice felt tighter than before. Layla smirked, swirling her wine glass. Oh, we were just talking about how Adrian is the real star of the office, she purred. Seriously, Eliana, do you know how lucky you are? I smiled, but there was steel behind it. I do. Layla's gaze flickered between us before she took another sip of her drink. Well, if you ever get tired of him, send him my way, she teased. The group chuckled, but my entire body went rigid. I glanced at Adrian, waiting, begging for him to say something. To set a boundary. To remind her that he was my husband, not some plaything for her amusement. But he just laughed. It was lighthearted, casual. Maybe to him, it was just a joke. But to me, it was a knife, twisting deeper into the doubt already growing inside me. I took a slow breath. I think I'll hold. Onto him, thanks. Layla grinned, raising her glass. Fair enough. Adrian still didn't say a word. The final straw, I tried to shake it off. I reminded myself of Richard's words. Maybe Layla was just naturally flirtatious. Maybe I was overreacting. But then it happened. The music changed. Something upbeat, inviting. People began making their way to the dance floor, laughing as they grabbed partners. I turned to Adrian, ready to ask him for a dance. But before I could say a word, Layla grabbed his hand. Come on, she said, pulling him toward the floor. 1. Dance won't kill you. I froze. Adrian hesitated for a split second, but then he let her pull him away. I watched as she placed her hands on his shoulders, swaying close, her face inches from his. My stomach twisted, my pulse roaring in my ears. He didn't stop her. That was the moment everything changed. I wasn't imagining things. I wasn't overreacting. Layla knew exactly what she was doing, and worse, so did Adrian. The air around me turned thick, suffocating. I watched as Layla moved closer to Adrian, her body pressed slightly against his as they swayed to the music. The world around me blurred. Laughter, music, clinking glasses, all fading into a dull The only thing I could hear was my own heartbeat, pounding like a warning siren in my chest. I waited, hoped that Adrian would push her away, that he would remember I was standing right there, watching. But he didn't. He smiled. It wasn't the wide, adoring smile he saved for me. It was small, almost unsure, but it was there. And it was enough to make my stomach drop. Layla was whispering something to him now, her lips inches from his ear, her fingers playing lightly at the back of his neck. And Adrian, he let her. A slow, burning fury spread through my veins. My hands clenched into fists at my sides. How could he? How could he stand there, letting this woman, this colleague, treat him like hers? In front of everyone. In front of me. The voices around me seemed distant, but one stood out. You okay? I turned to see Richard again, concern in his eyes. His gaze flickered toward the dance floor, where Layla's hands were still on my husband. He sighed. I was hoping he'd be smarter than this. I swallowed the lump in my throat, forcing my voice to stay steady. Me too. Richard exhaled slowly. You should say something. I didn't need him to tell me that. I was already moving. A public wake-up call I weaved through the crowd, my pulse hammering in my ears. My heart was torn between hurt and anger, but one thing was clear. I wasn't going to stand in the background while my husband forgot he was a married man. As I reached them, Layla's laughter rang in my ears. Come on, loosen up, Adrian, she teased, running a hand down his arm. You never dance at these things. I stepped between them, placing a hand on Adrian's chest, not gently. Then maybe he shouldn't start now. Layla blinked, momentarily, startled, before flashing me a knowing smile. Oh, Eliana, we were just having fun. I turned to Adrian, my expression unreadable. Were you? He took a step back, rubbing his neck like a guilty teenager caught sneaking out past curfew. It wasn't a big deal. I laughed. A hollow, bitter sound. Not a big deal? Layla smirked, sipping her drink like she was watching a show. Oh, don't. Be dramatic. It's just a dance. I turned to her, my eyes locking onto hers. Dancing with someone else's husband while touching him like that? I'm sure you wouldn't mind if the roles were reversed, right? Layla's smirk faltered for a second, but she recovered quickly. I'm single, sweetheart. I don't have to worry about things like that. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. That explains a lot. The people around us had gone quiet now, a few exchanging awkward glances. Adrian shifted uncomfortably. Eliana, let's not make a scene. I turned to him, something sharp and unforgiving in my tone. You already did. Layla chuckled, shaking her head. Relax, you're overreacting. That was it. That was the moment. I realized I wasn't just angry. I was done. Done making excuses for Adrian. Done pretending Layla's behavior was harmless. I tilted my head, my voice calm but firm. No, Layla. You see, there's a difference between being friendly and crossing a line. And you? You crossed it a long time ago. Layla's smirk finally faded, and I saw it. The flicker of irritation in her eyes. She hadn't expected me to call her out. She had expected me to sit quietly in the background while she played her little game. Not tonight. Adrian finally spoke, his voice tight. "Eliana, let's just go." I turned to him, studying his face. He wasn't angry, not exactly. He looked guilty, uncomfortable. Like he knew he had messed up, but didn't want to admit it. And that hurt more than anything. A silent goodbye. Without another word, I turned and walked away, leaving them standing there. I felt Adrian following behind me, but I didn't slow down. The night air hit me like a wave as I stepped outside. I took a deep breath, trying to steady the whirlwind of emotions crashing inside me. A moment later, Adrian was beside me. "Eliana, wait." I turned to him sharply. "For what? For you to explain why you let her touch you like that? Why you smiled? Why you didn't push her away?" He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. I didn't think it was that serious. Let out a breathless laugh. "Not that serious?" I shook my head, stepping back. "You let another woman put her hands on you. You let her act like you were hers. And you stood there and laughed. Do you even realize how humiliating that was for me?" His face fell. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. And for the first time in 5 years of marriage, I saw it. The crack in our foundation. The thing I had ignored for so long. This wasn't about Layla. This was about Adrian. And the fact that he didn't see what he had done wrong told me everything I needed to know. I turned away, my heart aching. "Let's go home, Adrian," because I already knew. Tonight was only the beginning of something I wasn't ready to face. The car ride home was suffocating. Silence hung between us, thick and heavy, like a storm about to break. Adrian gripped the wheel, his jaw tight, eyes fixed on the road. But I wasn't looking at him. I was staring out the window, my mind replaying the night like a cruel movie I couldn't turn off. Layla's touch. Her laughter. Adrian's hesitation. His smile. I had spent years believing that Adrian and I were unshakable, that no matter how long we had been together, no matter how mundane life became, we would always choose us. But tonight, I had seen something I wasn't sure I could unsee. The worst part wasn't Layla's behavior. It wasn't even the way Adrian had let it happen. It was the fact that he didn't fight for me. He didn't shut it down. Didn't set a boundary. Didn't care that I was standing there watching. He sighed, breaking the silence. "Eliana, are we really going to do this all night?" I didn't move, didn't blink. My voice was quiet but steady. "Do what?" "This." He gestured vaguely, with one hand before gripping the wheel again, the silent treatment, acting like I committed some horrible crime. I finally turned to him, my stomach twisting at the way he made it sound so small. "You let another woman drape herself all over you, and you smiled. And now you want to act. Like I'm the one overreacting?" His grip on the wheel tightened. "It was nothing. Nothing." That word snapped something inside me. I let out a sharp laugh, shaking my head. "Nothing? Adrian, do you even hear yourself? Would you be fine if I let another man touch me like that? Whisper in my ear? Pull me onto the dance floor?" His jaw clenched, but he didn't answer. I nodded, exhaling shakily. "Exactly." For a moment, he didn't speak. Just drove, his knuckles white, his frustration radiating off him in waves. "Layla is just flirty," he finally muttered. "She's like that with everyone. It didn't mean anything." I turned to him fully now, anger and hurt crashing inside me. "Then why didn't you stop her?" His silence was deafening. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "You didn't stop her because you liked it." Adrian's fingers twitched on the wheel, his face unreadable. He didn't deny it. And that hurt more than anything. The breaking point. When we pulled into our driveway, I didn't move right away. I sat there, gripping my dress in my lap, staring at the darkened windows of our home. The place that once felt safe, secure. But suddenly, I didn't feel secure at all. Adrian sighed heavily, rubbing his temple. "Eliana, can we not do this right now?" I turned to him, my voice hollow. "Do what, Adrian? Talk about the fact that I stood there watching my husband let another woman act like he was hers?" He groaned, unbuckling his seatbelt. "I told you it wasn't. Don't say nothing again." My voice was sharper than I intended, but I was done being gaslit. Because it was something. Maybe not to you, but to me, it was something. His hands rested on the steering wheel, his body tense. "I didn't cheat, Eliana." I let out a slow, measured breath. "I know." He looked at me then, confusion flickering across his face. "You didn't cheat," I repeated, "but you disrespected me." He blinked, like he hadn't thought about it that way before. And that was the problem. I reached for the door handle, but his voice stopped me. "You're blowing this out of proportion." I turned back to him, my heart pounding. "No, Adrian. I think this is the first time I'm seeing things exactly as they are. For 5 years, I had trusted this man with my heart. I had believed that no matter what, we were a team. But tonight, I had seen a version of him I didn't recognize. A version that didn't fight for me. A version that let another woman claim a space that wasn't hers to take. And worst of all, a version that didn't even understand why that was a problem. The unspoken realization. I stepped out of the car, the cold night air biting at my skin. Adrian followed a moment later, his expression tight with frustration. "Can we just go inside and talk about this?" I turned to him, my voice soft but firm. "We're already talking about it." His shoulders sagged, exhaustion creeping into his features. "Eliana, you're my wife. You know that, right?" I studied him for a long moment. "Do you?" His eyes widened slightly, but I didn't give him a chance to respond. I walked toward the house, unlocking the door without looking back. Because deep down, I already knew. Tonight had changed something between us, and I wasn't sure if we could ever go back. The house felt colder than usual. As I stepped inside, the air carried a strange emptiness, like the walls themselves had absorbed the tension between us. I heard Adrian close the door behind me, but I didn't turn around. I couldn't. If I looked at him now, I wasn't sure what I'd see. A man who regretted what happened, or a man who still didn't understand why I was hurt. My heels echoed against the hardwood as I walked toward the living room. The soft glow of the lamp barely reached the shadows stretching across the walls. Everything felt unfamiliar, like I was standing in a place that wasn't my home anymore. Adrian followed, his voice quieter now. "Eliana, please, just talk to me." I turned, my arms crossed over my chest. Not in defiance, but in defense. "That's all I've been doing, Adrian, talking, but you're not listening." His expression softened. "I am listening." I shook my head, the lump in my throat growing. "No. You're hearing me, but you're not listening." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know what you want me to say. I didn't do anything wrong." That was it. That was the moment I realized how deeply he didn't understand. I exhaled slowly, forcing my emotions into words. "It's not just about what you did, Adrian. It's about what you didn't do." He frowned. "What does that mean?" I swallowed the ache in my chest. "You didn't stop her. You didn't pull away. You didn't think about how it would make me feel. And when I was standing there, watching. You didn't care enough to notice." He flinched, his gaze dropping to the floor. "I didn't mean to hurt you." I let out a sad, breathless laugh. "But you did." Silence stretched between us. The weight of it settled deep into my bones. He looked up, something vulnerable flickering in his eyes. "I love you, Eliana." I studied him carefully. "Do you?" His head snapped up. "Of course I do." I nodded slowly, choosing my next words carefully. "Then show me." Adrian blinked. "What?" I stepped closer, my heart pounding. "Love isn't just words, Adrian. It's choices, it's actions." My voice wavered, but I held my ground. "And tonight, you made a choice that hurt me." He opened his mouth, but no words came out. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I need to know. If I was in Layla's place, if the roles were reversed, would you be okay?" His silence was deafening. He didn't need to answer. I could see it in his face. No, he wouldn't be okay. And yet, he still couldn't understand why I wasn't. The breaking point. I felt something shift inside me, something irreversible. I had spent years believing in the strength of our marriage, trusting that we were built on something solid. But tonight had cracked the foundation, and now I had to decide. Did I stay and try to fix it? Or did I walk away before more pieces broke? Adrian took a step closer, his voice desperate now. "I'll do better. I'll be better. He exhaled sharply. "I don't want to lose you over something like this." Tears burned at the back of my eyes. "Then why did it take me walking away for you to see it?" His face twisted, in regret. "I don't know." And that was the worst answer he could have given me, because love isn't about not knowing. It's about choosing, and tonight, he had chosen wrong. The decision that changed everything. I looked at him one last time, searching for something, some proof that he truly understood. But all I saw was a man who wanted to fix things but didn't know how. A man who wasn't ready to face what this moment meant. And I realized something. Maybe I had spent too much time hoping he would change. Maybe he wasn't ready to be the man I needed him to be. I swallowed hard, my voice barely above a whisper. "I need space." His face fell. "Eliana." I held up a hand, stopping him. "Please, just give me time." He hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Okay." I turned away, walking toward our bedroom. Not because I had forgiven him, but because I needed a moment to breathe, to think, to decide what came next. Because after tonight, one thing was clear. Our marriage would never be the same again. Watch till the end to see what happened next. What would you have done in my place? Let me know in the comments.